So before we talk about piano technique or discipline, or before we talk about practice strategies, I want to ask you something honest here. When you sit down at the piano, what is the first emotion that shows up? Is it excitement? Is it pressure? Is it curiosity? Or is it that quiet voice saying, you should be better by now? If you're just starting, maybe you feel overwhelmed. If you have been playing for a while, maybe you feel stuck. And if you're an adult learner, piano can feel very personal. It can feel like a reminder of time passing, like something you love, but also something that makes you doubt yourself. And I understand that feeling completely. My story is that I started playing piano when I was 8 years old, and I'm 29 now. For 10 years, I had weekly lessons, just 20 minutes per week. And I remember I used to practice around 30 minutes a day at home. I still do that. Not perfectly, not as a prodigy, just consistently enough. I played in recitals, I remember, for about sometimes 200 people. And I made mistakes in front of the audience. And I embarrassed myself a lot. And I wanted to quit many times. And I must say that today I'm not a professional pianist. I am an engineer and data scientist, but piano is my lifelong hobby. And the reason I'm still playing after 20 years is not talent, it is understanding. So today I want to give you 10 most important lessons I have learned through these 20 years. Not shortcuts, not hacks. Just real lessons that keep you playing long enough to actually become good at it. Lesson number 1 is that consistency is an identity, not a streak. Most people think consistency means practicing every single day without missing a day. But that idea sounds disciplined, but it is unrealistic for most of the adults. Over 20 years, consistency did not mean perfection for me. It meant never changing my identity. There were months where I practiced daily with structure, and there were periods in life where I was busy with studying different things, and practice was basically irregular. But what stayed stable was the belief that I am still a piano player. I never told myself that missing practice meant I failed. I told myself I would return to it the next day. That is the difference. Consistency is not protecting a streak. It is protecting your identity. So if you miss a day, nothing is broken. If you miss a week, nothing is ruined. What destroys progress is not inconsistency. It is the moment you decide you are no longer that kind of person. Decide that you are someone who plays piano, even imperfectly. The returning is what builds years. Lesson number 2, slow practice is a superpower. Most frustration at the piano comes from playing too fast. Not from lack of intelligence, not from lack of talent, but from tempo. When you rush, your brain guesses instead of processes. So your fingers tense, your shoulders lift, mistakes multiply quickly, and then you assume you're incapable of doing it. But slow practice changes everything. When you slow down enough to think about every single note, you build control, you build accuracy, you build calm coordination. So remember that speed is not something you chase. It is something that appears when clarity becomes automatic. I guarantee you that every advanced piece you admire was practiced slowly at some point. If you feel stuck, cut your tempo in half and feel each transition. Let your brain fully understand what your hands are doing. Slow practice feels humble, but it is powerful. Lesson number 3, plateaus are invisible progress. At some point, you will feel stuck. You will practice and nothing will seem to improve. This is where many adults quit, but a plateau does not mean growth stopped. It means growth went quiet. Your brain is reinforcing pathways and stabilizing patterns. It is turning effort into automation. And that kind of progress is invisible. And I know that children do not quit during plateaus because they do not interpret stillness as failure. but we adults analyze it and we panic. So if you're plateaued, you are not behind, you are integrating. Every breakthrough is built on a period when nothing seems to happen. Stay long enough and what felt stagnant will suddenly feel solid. Technique reduces friction. So technique is not about impressing anyone. It is about reducing friction between your intention and the sound you're making. When your posture is balanced and your wrists are relaxed, your brain has more space for musical expression. Good technique means less fatigue, more control, smoother transitions, and faster long-term process. Skipping fundamentals may feel efficient in the beginning, but it creates tension and instability later. Investing in basics like rhythm precision, correct fingering, and relaxed shoulders builds comfort that lasts for years. Comfort at the piano is trained, it is not accidental. So lesson number 5 is my all-time favorite. The goal you have determines your experience. You must decide why you're playing. Is it a hobby? Is it a professional ambition? Do you want to earn money from it? Is it emotional expression? Is it just to impress your friends? That's fine too, that is a goal in itself. But you have to recognize it. Each goal requires different effort and different expectations. So if you do not define your goal, you will constantly compare yourself to people out there because they have completely different paths. I, for myself, chose piano as a serious hobby. So that means I care about improvement, but I do not measure myself against concert pianists. So when your expectations match your goal, frustration decreases. When they do not match, pressure increases. So you need to be very clear of why you're doing this. Clarity creates peace. Wanting to quit is a signal. There will be moments when you want to quit. I know that. I went through it myself. But that feeling does not mean you should. Often it means something is misaligned. Maybe the pieces are too difficult for you. Maybe your practice sessions are too long. Maybe it's boring what you're doing. Maybe you are comparing yourself too much to other people. Instead of making a permanent decision in a temporary emotional state, adjust something smaller. Simplify before you surrender. Because burnout usually signals imbalance, not inability. Discipline builds skill. Joy builds longevity. Progress requires challenge. Longevity requires enjoyment. What I always do is that I balance one piece that is very hard with one piece that I actually love to play. The challenging piece builds technique. The joyful piece builds motivation. If piano becomes only work, you will resent it. If it becomes only comfort, growth slows down. So the combination creates sustainability. Joy is not laziness, it is fuel, and it will get you through. Your ear will develop faster than your hands. So as you improve, you will hear more mistakes. You will feel less satisfied. This is not regression, it is refinement. Your musical taste grows faster than your technical ability. And that gap between what you imagine and what you can execute creates frustration. But it is necessary. It pulls you forward. Increased awareness is evidence of progress. Comparison distorts reality. The internet shows finished performances, the curated ones, not the thousands of repetitions behind the scene. And comparing your daily practice to someone else's highlighted reel creates artificial urgency. And urgency destroys patience. So what you need to do is to measure your progress against your past self, not against someone else's polished result. Small improvements compound quietly over time. I have a whole video about compound effect in piano. If you're interested, I will link it down below and you can watch it. And the final lesson I've learned through these years is that the real skill is staying. After 20 years, the biggest lesson is very simple. Talent matters less than persistence. Long-term growth is built on ordinary days. not dramatic breakthroughs, not long hours of piano practice on a Sunday, for example, 5 hours of piano practice at weekend. That doesn't work. You just have to be consistent. You don't need to be dramatic. It is built on returning after interruptions. It is built on forgiving yourself and continuing even if you paused for a couple of days or weeks or months. The true skill is not playing fast or impress others. It is staying engaged with the process long enough for progress to accumulate and show up. If you stay, improvement becomes inevitable. So if you're just starting, be patient. If you're already in the middle of your journey, be steady. If you're thinking about quitting, please don't. Pause before deciding. Piano is not a race, it is a relationship. And relationships grow through presence, not pressure. 20 years do not begin with greatness. They begin with staying one more day. That's very important. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope this video helped you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.